The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in the podcast belong solely to the hosts and not the host's past, present, or future employers. Hello! Oh my goodness, I have worked this up real good. It's been a minute, so apologies, y'all. How's everybody doing? I'm Bryan Brake. This is Mr. Lynn, Mr. Boettcher, Breaking Down Security Podcast. Hello.
Hello.
Good.
Oh, good. At least the virtual audio cable works. I popped up the overlay for those of you listening to the podcast, and it has the picture right over the top of it of the browser window. So, just trying to be professional, and I failed at that as usual.
Yeah, way to test in production, man.
Yeah, you know what? There's always a reason why you want to do that sometimes, but I'm failing forward. It's an iterative process. I fail forward. I'm going to fix it in the next iteration. So,
of course.
I learned a couple things today. One, for those of you watching the stream, hello, welcome. Let me see if we have anybody online here. Doink, 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 doink. Docker Twitch stats. There we go. Load. All right, we have one whole viewer. That's okay. But we're triple casted on YouTube and LinkedIn. So
that's where all the viewers are.
That's LinkedIn, yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Dozens and dozens of people, running. So
I shared it from all 10 of my accounts.
That's right. I appreciate that. Thank you. So I learned a couple things today. One, I pretty much just am a glorified renter at this point. For those of you who are a regular follower of our stream, the walls have been painted. Huzzah!
Yay!
Yay! It looks like every other room in the house now. So. Yeah, well.
Yeah. Neutral is the best for.
That's what they said.
Getting rid of property.
Yeah.
Right? Got it.
Mine was kind of a burnt orange. Mine almost. Yeah.
You got a great buyer, and they come in and that's all they harp on is that green room or whatever whatever they don't like. Oh, I hate the wallpaper. It's just and they just hang on it and
yeah. It's easier for them to see their own colors and their own stuff in the space. I think if it's a neutral color.
Right. Well, we bought our house.
Want to make a splash.
We bought our house with the orange here, and then upstairs was like not a hard purple, but almost the same color as Miss Berlin's jumper there, actually. For those of you listening, I apologize. I don't know the hex code for that, but it was it wasn't a dark purple. It was kind of like an off purple. They used it for an exercise room or something. Yeah. But yeah, it was, that's what the realtor said, make it sparse, get rid of a bunch of shit. Less is more. Basically, they want to open, expansive space. So I have, for those of you can't hear it because I have a decent mic, but it's very echoey in here because I don't have a rug anymore. I don't have anything on the walls. There's nothing on our walls. We've thrown so much stuff out and recycled a bunch of other stuff. And I've definitely learned how to e-cycle stuff now. That's pretty interesting. And everything is the same kind of beige color. They wanted white.
Yeah, right.
Gross. My wife was like, no, we don't want to have to paint the whole house. We just want to paint the areas that had issues. Apparently I have issues. So, or my office did anyway.
Your office is an extension of you, right?
Yeah. Well, this was not an office when we got here. This was the formal dining room. And they had a formal dining room and a formal living room, and they actually lived upstairs in the family room, which is now my wife's office. So the realtor was like, you want to call them flex spaces. You don't want to call this like the dining room because it's a dated term. You don't want to call it a dining room. So I have like a bar over here on this left side over here, like a coffee bar kind of thing. So we're going to stage my office with like my desk because I can't move all this shit out. But I got my espresso machine over there. I've got my French press, stuff that we had in the kitchen. I've got it sitting over there kind of like, oh, this is a coffee bar. And this is obviously the guy's office because, he has, an SLR camera and a ring light and all this stuff. So we're trying to, and I have you saw the weight bench earlier when I showed y'all, but yeah, we're trying to do that. And it's interesting hearing them talk, because we had the hour-long discussion with the realtor. There's a psychology in it, right?
Oh yeah.
Trying to get people to, this is not our house anymore when they show it. This is their idea of what their house wants to be.
Right.
Yeah. So
you're not going for the hippie redneck look. You got to be more neutral.
No. We prefer ruby throated, not rednecked. Thank you very much. We're crimson thoraxed, if you will. Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, we're definitely not going for that. We're going for a nice, safe, yeah. I mean,
you won't end up on like I love looking at like the Zillow nightmare posts.
Zillow nightmare.
Oh yeah, there's
I thought that was a menu item in Zillow. You could look for farmland, apartments.
No, I'll send you some.
Family.
I will send you some.
Zillow Street.
Nightmare on Zillow Street. That's exactly what it is.
God.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So there was a post on there that Matt, when he was looking for his house, actually went and viewed, and it was called the Dinosaur House. They had full-blown dinosaurs in their front yard and backyard in the house. Like one of them was like this weird, and like a lot of them most of them were homemade. Like this Brachiosaurus in the dining room, and the light switch was like under his neck. Like built in. It was
right. I think I saw one that was posted up on Reddit where it was like the pictures were taken, and then you see somebody like off the side, like outside the doors and shit, and it's like all like, with a Jason mask on. And I'm like, nope. Are you trying to sell that house? Or you just,
I sold mine during Halloween, and I had all my Halloween decorations up, and my shower curtain was like the bloody shower curtain. That was actually my house listing, and I was so happy.
How did you manage to sell your house?
First day sold.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I don't have any other pictures on here, but yeah, that picture for Nightmare on Zillow Street on Facebook is telling enough.
So great.
What you're seeing is a completely trashed kitchen with what looks like a tire, a Harvest Gold stove in there, and a upside down Tidy Cat bucket. Tidy Cat's cat litter for people in the outside the U.S. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't want to see that. So that's interesting. Okay. So the other thing I learned, other than the psychology of that, is I share a birthday with Bruce Willis.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you meet him?
No.
Oh.
They were just mentioning him. He was born on March 19th, 1955. So he's 68 years old today.
Nice. So happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Oh, you're on the ball. You're on the ball. Oh my goodness. I was waiting for
you.
You
look way younger than 68. What did you do?
You look like 65 or something. It's great.
I said way younger. So at least 58.
I'd like to announce also that BrakeSec is looking for a brand new co-host. Amanda has taken an unfortunate leave of absence. Yeah, unfortunate.
We wish her the best.
We wish her the best. Play her off. Where's the music? I can play her off. Yeah. But I didn't know that. His wife was on the news talking about his issues with dementia and what was going on with him. He's had to retire from acting because he can no longer act. I think he has aphasia. He's unable to speak, and things like that. But they'd mentioned that she put something on his social media networks today in honor of his birthday, and I was like, "Hey, I share a birthday with him," so that was kind of interesting to find out. So, but yeah. Okay, so we have some news. We have some stuff to talk about. We have our show notes, and I don't know if I want to add the Nightmare on Zillow Street as a pertinent link, but we can do that. Which one do y'all want to do?
I'm just through it. I'm just like, wow. Anyway, something, homework.
Something for another time.
Homework.
Yes.
Something for another time. So what do we want to talk about first? Numbers 1 through 7 on our list. Okay.
John Deere.
Yeah, I
John
agree.
Deere. Okay.
That's
I
the
found
fun
this
one.
one. Found this one on Mastodon, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've talked about right to repair in the past here, and let me. Hello all. There we go. There we go. Just saying hello to our Slacker people, making sure that everything's working here. So we talked about right to repair before, and we've actually talked about John Deere and farmers and people who have tractors that are unable to repair their own tractors because they don't have firmware in them. They're just like a car. They have firmware, they have PLCs, they have software, and
You don't want a brick of $5 million tractor.
yeah,
They are very expensive, some of
yeah,
them, and they
yeah,
have GPS. You can just program, okay, I want to like harvest this corn in this giant field, and you push some buttons, it maps it out, and it
yeah.
figures out the most optimal thing for that space, whether it's triangular shaped or whatever, and it's all automated.
Yeah. So a combine harvester, which for those of you not in the U.S. is how they pull up. They harvest corn, wheat, not corn, but wheat, hay,
Cotton.
those kinds of things. Can go anywhere between 100K to 500K, and that's more than my car. And I have a Tesla, and it cost me $60,000 for that car. So it harvests wheat, barley, and oats, and that's not all it does. But that's what they use. It's an automated device, and they come with PLCs, they come with firmware, they come with self-driving, like Mr. Boettcher said, and you can't fix them easily if you're Joe Bob Farmer in the fields. There, you have to take them to an authorized dealer of John Deere in this case. And
even if mechanical parts break down, I believe you can't like take the alternator out and replace it, right?
Right. Yeah, you have to. It's almost like back in the day when Compaq was still a computer company before they were bought by HP. They were very specialized. Like you had to, if you wanted any replacements for a Compaq computer, you had to buy a Compaq CD-ROM drive because it was certain size. It was there was certain things inside the BIOS. It would only work with those things. It was a pain in the ass, and obviously Compaq went away. HP kind of went along the same lines before they realized you can't compete with that stuff. So
Consoles do it though. I know I had one heck of a time trying to replace the drive in my 360.
Oh wow, okay, yeah. So the Software Freedom Conservancy, which I've never heard of until this point, called upon John Deere to comply with its obligations under the GPL, which requires users of such code to share source code. So John Deere has open source code, has open source dependencies. They have software developers. They're using GPL3 code, so FFmpeg or any open source software under GPL3. Ideally, if you're using it, you're supposed to share that code or any kind of changes you've made. But apparently, the SFC compliance director, his name is Denver. Oh God, Gingerich. Wow, that's an interesting name.
Gingerich. I know Denver's a pretty cool first name though.
Yeah, but no, that's Bob Denver. I was going to say, I was expecting that to be John Deere name, like you to get a John Deere, but yeah. So this Denver person is saying that it's a pain in the ass to get John Deere to give them anything, and it takes them months or a year or better to get information from them. So he said, when Deere does reply, we've heard from others that their legitimate requests for source code have been met with silence. They always failed to include the original scripts used to control compilation and installation of the executable per GPL version 2. Oh, they're not using GPL 3, they're using GPL 2. And so it takes them 10 months for them to send us, again, incomplete packages, which makes their software, their offer for source code hollow.
But the thing is, you buy it knowing that.
Do you?
Knowing what? That
you have to take it to, you have to take it to a dealer to get repaired.
That's fair. That's fair. The problem.
Did they know that? Or
I would
did they
hope
get
so.
it?
If you're spending that much money,
Yeah.
Well,
My
I
thing is
mean,
though, I lived in a farming community, so I dealt with Deere. We had people with John Deere tractors and whatever, and this was very much like Mr. Boettcher might see, where you've got tractors on the highway along with normal cars. Um, you
same.
buy yeah, in Ohio too. But you buy from the local John Deere dealer who, depending on the size of the place, is a local person who
Mm-hmm.
you would think they would have some kind of like, I don't know, like, I don't want to screw over my neighbors, but there you are. It's like, well, I can't do anything. It's John Deere who's causing me to do all this stuff.
mhm.
But
All the tractors I've ever bought were too old to have this problem.
see, yeah,
Same.
yeah,
And we fix them,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I mean,
My grandfather had a Case Farmall, which is like from the 1940s or something, and had a carburetor, had oil and everything. So
I bet it was red.
it was rusted, but it could have been red.
It was red before it was rusted.
It was red
Rust.
before it rusted. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is that right to work, or no, not right to work, right to repair thing that we've been talking about before. And there's actually an underground, which ironically enough is on a lot of Russian websites and forums, where you can go and get firmware updates or get hacks to unlock features on your tractor, which
Scary.
well, yeah, but you're getting them from a Russian website, which
Yeah.
comes with its own risks, because you've got farmers who are just downloading and flashing their own stuff, or they're maybe got somebody who's doing it for them. I don't know.
It's like the Napster of tractors.
Exactly. No, yeah, exactly. I had an iPod that I used to put Rockbox on, which was like a third party kind of thing, or DDWRT or something like that.
Yeah. I forgot about DDWT.
Yeah, that's old school. Yeah, I actually know somebody who developed for them at one time, so it was kind of cool.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, they're facing multiple lawsuits from farmers. The Justice Department in the U.S. is getting involved, and John Deere struck a deal with the American Farm Bureau Federation to provide farmers with greater access to internal workings of the company's equipment. Like Mr. Boettcher said, right to repair, having that ability, and we've seen it in cars. We've seen it in there's like in Massachusetts. I think if you own a Subaru in Massachusetts, they've disabled certain things like telemetry and things from the ODBC port, because they don't want people running diagnostics without going to a dealership and paying $80 an hour to get that done. Denver, the person from the FSC, has said, we're now publicly calling on John Deere. So they put them on blast, saying, hey, we want everything that you've got. Basically, the owner's manual on how to compile the source yourself, in a GitHub or something like that. Because farmers and others are entitled to it by the licenses that John Deere chose to use.
You think they're just scrambling to use different licenses now?
I bet you that the reason it's taking so long is because they got developers going, okay, let's change this variable from an A to a B, or things like that, and okay, let's rewrite this in our own words.
Mm-hmm.
I could see something like that, yeah, or obfuscating it so you can't futz with it. Or sometimes you don't want to release the source code because it is there may be copyright issues, or they may be borrowing things from other organizations illegally. One of the things we're dealing with at work when we do dependency checking is we have to make sure that we don't have GPL3 or GPL license code, or CDDL, or some kind of restricted license that we're giving to third parties as part of our own software bundles. So software licensing, along with dependency checking, is becoming a major deal for us. So
when I was developing LogMD, I made sure that I didn't use any GPL code at all.
Yeah.
And then if I did incorporate stuff from someone, I made sure to contact them and say, hey, is it okay? Right.
Yeah.
Get permission in writing, things like that.
Yeah. it's just another kind of vendor lock-in, right? If you have exclusivity to a $500,000 vehicle, for all intents and purposes, I don't see any difference between it and a $4,000 MacBook. I mean, it's like you're pretty much stuck with lightning cables or dongle gate or whatever it is. Walt had said, Walt, one of our regular listeners, some Sun servers had hardware locked hard drives. Only Sun hard drives would work on Sun servers, right? I had a CD-ROM fail in one of our compact machines, and I had to order one from the compact website, and it was like $100 or something at the time. That's a long time ago. Drives were 3 to 5 times the price of a standard drive. It sounds like anti-competitiveness there, but yeah. So hopefully, John Deere will figure out how to, fix themselves and get that working. So yeah. Let's see. What else do we want to talk about? Let's see. We talked about John Deere. So what else do we want to talk? What do we want to talk about next? I'll let y'all pick that one.
I do not know.
I don't know. Maybe the cookie thing about tagging social media accounts, because that's anytime I get a DM from a stranger, that's usually what it's about. So I'm just going to send them this link.
Yeah. Oh, you posted up your Twitter handle. Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I the other day was trying to find why Biscoff cookies are so popular on all airlines and like what made that happen, right? So I went to their website hoping there would be some kind of backstory on their website, which, spoiler alert, there is not. They have absolutely no, in their about section, they don't even mention airlines. Right. And it popped up on my phone and they had like 5 options for like turning on and off cookies and no puns. No puns. I was so disappointed.
Now, okay, so
so disappointed.
I hate it that they are damn tasty. You can actually buy those cookies off of their website. So there you go. If you want a family pack or whatever, they're $40.
They make ice cream bars.
Shut up.
My son is in love with Biscoff cookies, and he has had the ice cream bars.
Airline size 2-pack case, bulk size. Oh my God.
But anyways, that's
216 of those things.
Cookies. Yeah,
216 of those. They wouldn't last me more than a half an hour. So it'd probably, be about 500 pounds. And the best thing I do with those Biscoff cookies is I get a cup of coffee and then I dip them in my coffee.
That's what they were originally made for.
It's good eats.
Yep.
Sorry, this show's not brought to you by Biscoff cookies, obviously.
But it should be.
But it should. Hello, Biscoff. Maybe you call me. Call me. All right, so we're going to talk about the cookies, but not the cookies. Let's see where. Oh, Hackney social media. Okay, so I'm going to preface this by I have this in my feed on Feedly, and it pops up in the cybersecurity,
and I feel like
cybersecurity
this is
search.
Normal.
Sorry?
Like what they're talking about here, right? Like they're art poisoning, stealing cookies.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, okay, so they there's no disclaimer on this website first. It's like, hey, don't do this shit. It's evil. You're a bad person if you do it, kind of thing. It's just somebody talking about, here's what cookies are. Here's how you steal the cookies on somebody's social media accounts by, using Ettercap or Cane and art poisoning the victim. And it's like, you're a bad person if you do this stuff. And maybe you should have a disclaimer that says don't do this. But yeah, it's not the only blog post I've seen where somebody's like, hey, for fun and profit and education, let's hack somebody's Wi-Fi or something. I'm like, maybe you should tell people, hey, don't do this shit. It's kind of bad. Or, do it at your own risk. Or
and they also leave out a lot of information on how to actually, I mean, it's,
Yeah. I mean, they say, hey, first you got to art poison the victim. That's step one. Okay. How do you do that?
yeah. I
Well,
mean, you have
that's
to
why you
have the
keep
same
searching.
local network.
Yeah. Right. There we go. Make it a little bigger. So after art poisoning, open Wireshark, click the capture button from the menu bar, then select interface. Okay, so they teach you a quick and dirty on how to use Wireshark. Now you can see the packets being captured. Wait for a while till the victim logs into his account. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely lacking something in the how-to section. So there is that. I mean, you could argue that, just by reading this, you're not going to figure out exactly how to do this.
But you can research. It gives you the process, right?
Right.
Now you got to go find out the procedure for each step.
Right. Filter the packets by entering the IP address from Facebook in the filter bar and click apply. Okay, so great. Yeah, so it's not very big.
With Facebook and Twitter, I feel like even though you're using the same cookie, you would still have to. Maybe you wouldn't have to spoof anything if you're coming from the same IP address.
I mean, yeah. But still, you got to be on the same local network.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
And know that your traffic's not being routed differently.
Yeah. So hey, Bloodbound, how you doing? They're not guests, they're family. So, once they've been here, they're, Mr. Boettcher's got no pants on right now. Miss Berlin's got no shoes on. So,
I don't have any shoes on.
Hey, you signed a non-disclosure, buddy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did you turn off the camera underneath my desk that showed that I wasn't wearing shoes?
My bad. That's okay. I got mile high hair going on right now. My hair's looking pretty good. I mean, I can't hate on that. But yeah, so I've seen more than a few of these blog posts on Medium that are cybersecurity related, and I'm like, okay, yeah. There's lacking something, but what they forget to tell you, like, hey, this is bad. Probably should.
This is kind of a shitty thing to do, right?
Yeah, it's cool in your own lab, but don't do it like real people. Wait for a while and log into your own, and be your own victim in this case. So, but yeah, it's yeah. I mean. That's all I got to say about it. And there's definitely some stuff missing. It's funny because this is how I see some people in my work writing. And it's like, this, number one, art poison the victim. Like Mr. Boettcher said, is like, how do you do that? And it's like, I'm having to be, I'm a TPM. So I'm supposed to be the technical person, but I've taken over the role as asshole user. And it's like, I have to ask those questions. I'm like, well, how do you art poison the victim? Oh, you just do this. I'm like,
it's not just.
It's not just.
Yeah.
It's not just. It's not simply. It's all you have to do is none of those. I actually talked about that earlier this week, I think, when somebody had posted up, when somebody had posted up, just patch the, there was some stuff.
I hate that.
Yeah. Just patch. And I was like, can't do that.
That's not how it works.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm building training at work and curriculum. I have to teach about 1,000 people how to use a brand new security review process. And so I've been reading some teleprompter stuff, and I'm getting involved in some voiceover work at work to kind of build out my repertoire. So
nice.
Yeah. Pretty awesome. It's interesting because my worlds are colliding in this case, and the training people love me because it's like, oh, well, I have a DSLR here and I've got a microphone and all this. And they're like, oh man, you have no idea what we're having to deal with people recording stuff at home. And I was like, I get it.
Yeah.
And so, I'm reading a script and I have to emote, and, Christina, who's one of the people I'm working with, is teaching me. She's like, okay, you're doing great. You just, make sure you don't do this a lot, and I was like, okay, cool. And your emoting is great, and inflections in your voice. So I'm learning some of that as well. So Bloodbound. I saw art poisoning and my face did the rock eyebrow raise face because I spent some time learning on all of that for a couple of years. Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, to like Mr. Boettcher said, to be art poisoned, you have to be on their network and you have to impersonate their gateway or their, the way that they're getting to the internet, a proxy or what have you. So it's not completely easy. It's not, like you're going to be doing it to your neighbor unless you've already hacked their Wi-Fi with like Reaver or something similar.
Or public Wi-Fi.
Public Wi-Fi. Yeah, if you're in a Starbucks, if we're just talking about Fire Sheep today.
A lot of those are like micro-segmented now, though.
Yeah,
I've found
nice.
Like they really do good due diligence. I think maybe it's like larger chains that do, because I always like network scan, and a lot of places it's just your gateway and you. Like there's nothing else. Like, oh, that's cool. All right, well that's pretty cool that they're actually doing something.
Yeah. Well, you can have unlimited gateways, right? I mean, there's no shortage of gateways. As long as you've got.
I mean, there's a limit.
Okay.
But
yeah,
especially since nobody does IPv6 fully.
That's true. But yeah, I mean, how many people are connecting to a McDonald's Wi-Fi or something? You're probably looking at like 30, 40 people at the most on a regular basis. So
yeah.
Yeah. So just a caveat to all of you folks out there who are looking at these things. They're great to give you kind of a general direction on where you need to go, but you're really going to have to do some homework on things like art poisoning. And this is a great example on setting up Wireshark and testing in your own lab, but do not do it to other people. Makes you an asshole. So blood. Yeah. So I think we've kicked that to the curb. So. So what was the link here you posted on from your Twitter? Let me go ahead and click on that.
Oh, it was the cookie thing.
Oh, the cookie. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Very nice.
Me tweeting at Biscoff.
Missed opportunity, Biscoff. Yeah.
No puns.
That's right.
So disappointing.
Well, they're serious business. Cookies are serious business.
I guess they're European too, so maybe that's why.
Yeah. I want to do the bleeping computer one. Thank you to one of our longtime friends on Slack. The
which one? Bleeping
computer alleged breach forums owner Pompurin arrested on cybercrime charges.
Yeah.
So Bloodbound says this is assuming you're on the network being closed or previously set up a device via RAT, either yours or someone else's, aka pre-hacked, that are again connected to the Wi-Fi to do this. Yeah, I mean, it takes some preparation. I think that's the bottom line. It takes some preparation. You're not just going to turn on your computer in the morning and go, well, let's see who I can ARP cache, because you're going to ARP cache yourself, and that's the only person you've got. Now, if you decide to go into your office and be all like Neo and stuff and ARP caching your own people, then you've got a problem. Yes, Bloodbound. I'm going to allow your comment, even though the bot would not allow it. So, yes, it does take being a douchebag eventually. This is the professional stream, by the way. We're streaming this on LinkedIn, by the way. So
very professional.
Very professional, 100% professional. So, alleged breach forums owner arrested on cybercrime charges. U.S. law enforcement arrested on Wednesday a New York man believed to be Pompurin. I think I said that right. The owner of the breach forums hacking forum. According to court documents, he was charged with one count of conspiracy to solicit individuals to sell unauthorized access devices. So he was extorting people? Let me see.
What I don't get when I read this is I'm surprised if you run a site like that you would be in the US.
Oh. Yeah?
Right?
Yeah. Well, maybe his OPSEC was good enough, and he was going through things.
See, that's how people get caught, is they get too cocky and they're like, "Oh, my OPSEC's perfect. I'm not going to get caught," and then the FBI finds them. So,
My mama just, texted me happy birthday. So, yeah, he's a suspected owner. Forum admin said the site would continue to operate in its current capacity. So, you've arrested the owner, but he's not really the owner. The forum admin is still available.
He's not
still,
the admin, right?
That's right.
No, they have a business continuity plan at least. Huh? So
nice.
It's amazing how criminal endeavors are better managed security wise than most normal companies.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's unfortunate. Yeah. So he's a well-known player in cyber criminal underground devoted to breaching companies and selling or leaking stolen data through forums and social media.
It also says at the end of the article that he's been involved in various high-profile company breaches, like the FBI's law enforcement portal, stealing the customer data from Robinhood.
Oh, yeah.
The Twitter bug that confirmed all those emails.
Yep. How do they know he's the guy?
It's a great question.
Maybe they can connect all the dots together, like IP addresses, or maybe they have forensic information now that they've arrested him. Maybe somebody sold him out,
I think probably after a while people would get lazy, right? You're like, oh, I've not been.
Maybe he was getting close to the truth, and they nailed him on this, right?
Yeah.
And
what truth?
Yeah.
Pick
your
know.
Conspiracy theory. Today's conspiracy theory is tomorrow's
headline.
History facts or whatever. Yeah. News headline.
All right. I'm going to turn that off. Okay. I'm gonna post up some of the links that we've got here for things later on. But yeah, so he got arrested, $300,000 bail. Or bond, which I think means he has to pony up $30,000, and he's going to be in federal court, District Court of Eastern District of Virginia, so he's on federal charges, obviously. So he's also restricted from contacting witnesses, co-defendants, and co-conspirators. See,
but he can travel still.
Can he?
He'll be only allowed to travel within southern and eastern districts of New York and Virginia.
Oh, I see. Well, maybe he still has a day job.
I imagine. I don't know. Maybe he's a barista.
That's what I was thinking. He's like,
could be.
In his
he also wrote that Medium article.
Oh God. Yeah, that'd be rough. Yeah. So, Connor, what were you late for today? I had to go to court, man. Get over there and run the espresso machine.
The DUI.
Yeah, that's rough. So, well, he's going to have some fun. He's going to white collar prison probably though. So.
Yeah.
I heard they allow conjugal visits. So that's nice.
In white collar prison, they do. No.
Everything I know about prison came from Office Space, so
okay.
That's all I know. No.
So you've never done hard time yourself? All right.
No, the only prison bars I've ever seen was I got arrested one time for a charity auction, and one of the people I was serving with in the military, he didn't like me very much, and so he put in like $250 so I didn't be in there for like 8 hours. And I know he did it not for charity; he just wanted to be an asshole. And
yeah.
That's okay. I got back at him. I think the statute of limitations is.
Yeah. Did you murder someone?
No, this is on Diego Garcia. So, I was on night shift, and don't do this, kids. Don't do this. We had some silicone glue in my office. I took it home and super glued his lock. So
nice.
Yeah. Problem was his roommate couldn't get out of the room either, and I forgot about that. So he was trapped in the room until they could pretty much break the lock off.
Oh my God.
And he came home from a 12-hour watch shift. So it's been 22 years, so I think I'm okay. I'll pay for the lock, U.S. Navy, if you're watching. I'll pay for the lock. It's okay. But yeah, I was 3 sheets to the wind when he came home at about 5 p.m. And I was like, hey, man, that sucks. What kind of asshole would do that? So there was not much to do on Diego Garcia except drink
Yeah, I
and
guess.
like run and stuff. So I was the drinker, not a runner. So, um, oh, I didn't enable followers only. That sucks. What did I do that for? Weird. Okay, I thought I disabled the shield thing on the chat. So yeah, this person is not going to be having a lot of fun. So we'll, good times will be had by the people, hopefully, that are victims. The thing that got me was the co-conspirators. He's not able to talk to his co-conspirators, which is like they arrested him and a couple of other folks, which means he's not allowed to talk to them. That made me wonder if he got turned in. Somebody turned Stooley,
right?
Ratted out. So.
And were they not cool enough to mention in their own article?
Yeah, right. Yeah, they don't mention anybody else. Huh. Maybe he's the only one in the U.S. Maybe there's other arrests coming.
Yeah,
so
possibly.
We'll find out. Maybe we'll find out more. All right, let's see what's next. Oh, thank you to D. Matthews for that. One of our. What's up?
DAST.
DAST.
Yeah.
Yes, I actually saw this one. This one actually was a bit of discussion on Twitter as well. Let me see. Where is it? What? Oh, diminishing returns. Sorry, diminishing returns. So this is a think piece from somebody by the name of Sandesh Mysore Anand, from Substack. So it's very much like a Medium kind of article. Starts out by, like me, if you started working in AppSec in the 2010s, because that's so freaking long ago, you remember dynamic application security testing as the go-to assessment methodology for web applications. At that time, OWASP Top 10 was new-ish.
Yes.
Most of the existing security tools did not focus on web apps, think Nmap, Wireshark, etc. And static analysis tools were so hard to use, it felt like you needed to take Snape's defense against dark arts to master that. Here's why DAST tools stood out. DAST tools had the ability to discover defects from the OWASP Top 10. DAST tools completed assessments between 30 minutes and 4 hours, even for large apps. Contrast this to SAS, which took exponentially longer for large apps. And DAST tools made it simpler to triage results. So he goes on talking about, hey, DAST is great. 30 minutes to 4 hours is awesome. But now everybody's like pushing out updates every 5, 6, 7, 10 minutes or something. And we can't wait 30 minutes to 4 hours to push stuff out. So that's his underlying thing. He's like, oh, these are really bad. They're now liabilities, whatever. And then he starts talking about, well, you might still need them down at the bottom. He kind of backtracks a little bit, but I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts because, Ms. Berlin, you work for a company that probably creates some software. Mr. Boettcher, you've created software. What was your thoughts on reading this?
Well, I thought the 4 points that he brings of why it's degrading, I don't think they really have merit. I mean, they've always existed, right? Except maybe for number 2. But number 1 is, I'll go through them quickly. Number 1 is it takes a long time to do a dynamic vulnerability scan. That's always been the case. In fact, they're faster now, right?
Right.
Newer tools, faster machines. So I really don't think that changed. Yeah. Let's see. If your software is built using microservices, it's hard to find anything outside of low-hanging fruit. Well, DAST has always been about that low-hanging fruit. You want to get that low-hanging fruit first, right? Because you don't want skitties breaking into you. You want, if you're going to get hacked, it better be somebody really good. Right. You don't want to put code out there that has an obvious security flaw. Right. And then it says increasingly the results of access tools were reviewed by devs and QA teams. And it says these teams are not really skilled in information security. And then tolerance for false positives has gone down dramatically. That's always been the case, really. And then looking for security defects is now a primary skill set for most pen testers.
Right.
I mean, if you get an application pen tester, that's exactly what they do, right?
Right.
I don't see how anything's changed, in the last 10 years on
Yeah.
DAST, according to this article. It's,
Right.
I
Ms. Berlin, how about
still
you?
think it's something that's necessary.
Yeah, I look at it just like vuln scanners,
Right.
I guess, right? Like you're not going to vuln scan your network and find nearly everything.
Right.
But I mean, it'll give you, if you don't have anything, it'd be a good place to start.
Yeah.
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 I mean, you're going to run your static analysis. You're going to run your dynamic analysis. Hopefully, if you got the budget, you can hire pen testers.
Mhm.
And so, that's your due diligence right there.
Right.
SAST and DAST are low cost, and they catch vulnerabilities in the beginning. And so, yeah, I don't think it's something that you should let slide.
Right.
At all.
Yep. Now my point was, I don't care what they use as long as they check their work,
Mm-hmm.
The problem is I would rather take a 30-minute scan that would find, potentially the low hanging fruit, like Mr. Boettcher said, than waste. I don't want to call it wasting, but, having your next door neighbor developer checking your work, which not waste, but it takes their time away from coding, which is obviously what they want people to do in a high velocity kind of environment. But it will obviously take more than 30 minutes, depending on the amount of work that is being done. Having a pen test everything, yeah, it's not possible. You do that just before a major release, or something where you're putting in a major feature or something that's going to change the threat landscape, or what have
Or
you.
you have internal resources that do it all the time.
Right. But even then, you're going to take days. It's going to take days.
Yeah.
And you've already, according to this guy, high velocity, you've already put out a couple hundred builds in that time. So 30 minutes, depending on the size of the problem is I assume this person is putting out like major builds every 5 to 10 minutes or something like that. What I'm trying to do, so I mentioned the security review stuff I'm doing at work. The reviews that we're doing is trust, right? We're trying to build trust in the code. Security is trust in this case. By having at least even a DAST scanner looking at your items. He may complain because, it's going to create a lot of unnecessary work. There's a lot of false positives if you're not tuning that stuff correctly. Sometimes it takes a developer to tune that for you. Sometimes your QA or security people can do that. They're a necessary evil. In some cases, you have to show that you're, for a third party, if your company is being used by a third party, they're going to want to know if you're doing necessary, steps, in this case, DAST or what have you. There's an accountability and a trust that has to be built there in that respect. So, my comment to Tanya Yanka, who we had on the show, she hacks purple, go check out her stuff. I said, nothing says it has to be a barrier to ship. And I think that's what his point was. It was like, well, you have to wait for the DAST scan to complete. And I was like, no, you don't. You can run a scan while you're waiting for the release functions or what have you. If there's bugs found, you log them and you fix them in the next iteration or the iteration after that or whatever.
You could be 3 behind what's in production.
Right.
That bug or vulnerability is probably still going to be there.
Right. And you don't have to do them every time you do a release. And this may be a problem where management's like, oh, you have to do that. You have to do a scan every time you issue a release. The developers in this case probably have the power and can push back on this. And the security people should be that way too. It'd be like, look, we don't want to be the bad people. We understand that. So let's say every 5 builds, every 5 releases that you have, if you have 25 in a day or something like that, every 5 releases is going to be DAST scanned, and all of the stuff in those last 5 builds is going to be in there. There are ways to make DAST work, and without having to have two developers looking at the same code, or one writing the code and then one reviewing it, because that runs into additional errors all by itself. But yeah, so let me see. What else did he say on that? John Deere stuff into chat here. Anyone else in our chat have any questions, comments, or concerns? Probably should turn off the frames per second there. Oh, I've got that one. Oh, there it is. So he says, all this means is there's no real place for traditional DAST. However, when used intelligently, there are still a few gaps that it can address. So DAST is old and busted, but you can still use DAST here. And that's the issue I had. Yeah, repurposed to only look for low-hanging fruit. Can be ran in a non-blocking way in the pipeline. I just said that. I hadn't even read all the way down here. That makes sense. Your mileage may vary. This may not work in companies with large dev velocity and a stretched pen test team. Your pen test team shouldn't be running the DAST for you anyway. It should be part of your pipeline. The pen test team, you don't even know what the hell a pen test team is, dude. Yeah, I mean, we've interviewed people who have mentioned they use Zap proxy, which is a OWASP tool in their as a DAST engine for scanning. Works really well. You can supercharge the above step with Security Champions program. We kind of do that. DAST rules can be the first step, but there's no reason why it needs to stop there. You could also work with your QA teams or what have you. Bloodbound says, so basically we have Dyson vacuum, but you can still use a broom for certain situations. In other words, yes, because by the time you get the Dyson out and you plug it in and you unwrap the cord, you probably could have used the broom to sweep up whatever it is that you need to sweep up.
Broken glass.
I'm sorry?
Broken glass.
Broken glass.
Broom works really well.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he seems to think you can just do a pen test in 5 minutes or something. He says, pen testers now you leverage DAST to automate many other test cases. Like always, pen testers have a much higher tolerance to false positives. You can afford to go crazy and turn all the rules you want. Pen testers cost money. And if you're, a good pen tester is not cheap. So, you can use a DAST tool, which you can use forever and ever and ever, and it doesn't complain if you want it to run a scan at 3 a.m. Or you can get a pen tester who's only going to work 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. So just a thought there.
A lot of pen testers will set their scans on day 1 and run them overnight, and day 2, they got all kinds of information, right?
Right. Yeah, but I mean, by the time that scan is over, they've already pushed out how many new builds. It's like when I was first learning how to do scans of a container network. It was like, oh, I found this vulnerability, and you're like, yeah. By the time you finish scanning, we've already killed that instance and it's gone. So I was like, okay, how am I explaining that to an auditor? That kind of thing. So it's like, yeah, we patched it by deleting that machine and building a new one from scratch. And okay. Am I being too skeptical of DAST? Are there other use cases for DAST in the pipeline? Do you successfully run a DAST program within your organization? Some of it may be they don't have their DAST configured properly either. So
definitely possible.
Yeah. Bloodbound, a pen test is not 5 minutes, 100%. Whether they're paying is not worth it in terms of the payer. Better they be using OpenAI, GBT. Oh, no. You just use AI word. GBT to do a pen test faster, maybe. Yeah. I think, you can leverage your QA folks. You could create test cases. Some of the developers could, help, work through some of these issues. Yeah. I mean, you can also look for trends too, if you notice there's buffer overflows or missing security headers, make those a necessary check, or you can be smarter with your scanning and it doesn't take 30 minutes. You can just look for things that are new, or if this can also help you identify trends in your company's coding problems or issues that you can address. So I want to log into these sites and make comments, but then it's like I'm just spitting in the wind at this point. It's like I'm straight up Karen.
Be a comment person.
yeah, it's like I can't log into Medium. It makes my brain hurt. So I'll put this link in the show notes or in the chat here for y'all. There we go. Yeah, Tanya Yanka, go check out Tanya. She's doing some great work. She hacks purple. I believe there's some stuff that she's developing with another friend of ours, which I'm not sure if I can announce that yet, but I do know it's happening. So go check out She Hacks Purple on Twitter. And She Hacks Purple. There we go. Oh, I think she has a handle. Oh, very cool. Okay. So we've done Bleeping Computer. Oh, I like Bleeping Computer. Let's do the one with Microsoft. so just a little background. When I was in my poorer days, when I was not rich, several websites were available to make keygens for XP 2000 NT.
Oh yeah.
Find the ISO. They had an all-in-one key generator, and so the story is that this person called up Microsoft support because his official license, and he says his official license failed to activate normally. So he calls up Microsoft support, and they're like, "Oh yeah, okay, let's work through this problem." He lives in South Africa, and he's a freelancer, and so the support engineer actually went to a well-known GitHub. And actually, it's been removed from GitHub if you try to use it. It's in GitLab as far as I know. I may or may not have tried to download it. Shut up. May or may not have tried to download it successfully. But so what happened was the support person went to the same website, downloaded the crack, and cracked it for the person. By logging into, remoted into that person's laptop machine and ran the activation.
Got the job done.
Got the job done, right? And it sounds like this is not the first time they've done this. But yeah, it was, pretty funny. And it was, I don't know if it was always on GitHub, but when I went to GitHub's link inside of the script, oh, Bloodbound says I may or may not have gone on to waybackmachine.com and tried to download that as well. Yes. Yeah.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, now you don't have to worry about it so much because our friends like Ray Bango and those have created, ISOs of Windows that will work, for 180 days, and it's an evaluation version, but it's fully functional. You don't necessarily have to crack them anymore because I think Microsoft realized that people will resort to fringe kind of things where, you get a keygen, but you also get a shell. That kind of thing. So just giving people a free copy of evaluation of Windows and just annoying them with, hey, would you like to register? Is probably safer than, going to some .ru or .ir site and pulling down a DLL with a shell in it. So, but yeah, so apparently Microsoft, I didn't see if Microsoft had replied back the last I saw on this.
Yeah,
okay,
so said we strive to provide best-in-class support for our customers. The technique you described would be against our policy. A Microsoft spokesperson told Bleeping Computer, "We're investigating this occurrence, and it will take appropriate steps to ensure proper procedures are followed regarding customer support." I just hope that poor support person doesn't get fired.
Yeah. See, I'm wondering if it was like a third party or something, like, they sent it to a call center somewhere or something like that. Oh, that's too bad. Sorry, security, call center person. You're probably trying to help your numbers for, helping people every day. And yeah. Your metrics are
I didn't
so
think he was
much
going
better.
to be in a viral tweet.
Yeah, that's.
Well, it's like the article said, it's probably easier to click on a link or type one out or copy paste one than it is to like type the freaking 32 character activation code.
Yep.
I mean, no wonder his numbers were so good.
Yep.
Damn.
I mean, back in the day, it was like you could always go to a local Salvation Army or a Goodwill store, and they would sell computers with the OEM tags still on the chassis, and you could just get the OEM key. I think the XP or Windows 7 key gen that I may or may not have used in the past used like Dell or HP OEM keys.
I had like the volume license keys from the places that I worked.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
They're unlimited.
Yep. Microsoft.
They had no way to find it.
Exactly. Walt says Microsoft license key registrations used to be stored for 90 days. So on day 91, you could reuse the serial number. Sure. I mean, what I do now, I think the license keys for most computers that you buy are stored in the UEFI. So you can pull up PowerShell and read the UEFI key right off of that. So if you're going to e-cycle your computer and you know that it's going to be e-cycled, you can maybe borrow the key. Mm-hmm. Technically, I bought the computer.
It's the second time you used e-cycle.
Electronic recycling.
Mm-hmm.
So, I found out Amazon will do trade-ins, which is great. I didn't want to toss a bunch of electronics, and I'd already sold off a bunch of stuff. Like I had some Raspberry Pis that D. Matthews and a bunch of other folks had taken off my hands because I'm not going to use them. And I had a laptop, I think, that I gave to somebody else, but I had a couple of Kindles, old school Kindles. I had a Samsung tablet, which was a POS, and a Surface Pro 3 that I used to use. Still worked. But you go to Amazon and you can do trade-in for them. And, they said, oh, you take them to like the Asurion office, ASURION, and they take them for trade-in. So I got like $100 for my 2 Kindles, $25 for the Surface, but I had to mail them in. I had to mail it in. And like $5 for the tablet. And, then of course I had an iPod Touch that I, no longer was available. So I went to Apple's site and they're like, oh yeah, you can recycle it, but we won't give you any store credit. And I was like, okay, great. So I just drove to the mall to the Apple store and I was like, here, take this. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. So it's better than tossing it into landfill. So
yeah.
Hey, can you e-cycle your Kindle books or resell them? That'd be awesome.
I can neither confirm nor deny that I have software that does that for me. Yeah. Maybe. There's plenty of open directories out there with Caliber repositories, kind of like Plex, but for books that you can find on open directories and stuff. So a lot of technical books out there to be found from O'Reilly and the like for that. So, but I would not recommend that if you're talking about that.
Yeah, I still have Google alerts and like a Twitter column anytime the book's mentioned.
Yeah.
99% of the time, it's just people posting links on download this here sites.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
How's your book coming along, though?
It's coming along. It should be out. Second edition should be out by June, I think.
Oh, very cool. Okay. Are you doing an audiobook too?
Wish. If I do an audiobook, I think I have to do it myself.
Oh man.
You and I should talk.
Because
you and I should talk. It got dark.
I wouldn't want to do it here like I would want like a recording studio, because while my audio here is okay, I don't think it's good enough to like release as an audiobook.
Yeah.
It's like, do I want to buy time in a studio, or I don't know.
Your audio is not awful there.
It's not terrible. Like I have the little sound dampening things and whatever. I have the mic that we got 5 years ago.
Do you have a big cardboard box? You could just kind of
I'm sure I could find one
with a light and just
moving blankets. I have some moving blankets that I'll probably be using in my new place to do voiceover work. So
I'll just go in that closet.
Mr. Boettcher was in a closet at one point when we were doing the show here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
home
I don't know.
Bathrooms are the best studios. People sing in the shower and they sound great. That's true. That's true. Bloodborne or Bloodbound. Yeah.
Yeah. I've thought about it. Okay. Every time I write something, I read it out loud like 5 times. Like I've read that book out loud probably a total of 10 times at this point. The whole book. So next time I should just record it, right?
Yeah. All right, let me turn that off. John Deere. Okay. Yeah. Diminishing returns. I think we probably there's two more. I think the Dish Network one and the baseband remote stuff. We don't want to talk about the baseband remote stuff. We don't want to. Um, the Dish Network one. Either of you have Dish Network?
I do.
Are you able to actually get into your Dish Network?
What do you mean get into it?
Well, so okay.
Like your account?
Yeah.
Like on their website or?
Yeah. So it says Dish customers are still looking for answers 2 weeks after the U.S. provider satellite television giant was hit by ransomware. Dish hasn't provided a substantive update since, despite customers continuing to experience issues or know if their personal data is at risk. They said that customers have no access to Dish or services through its subsidiaries like Boost Mobile. Others say they've been unable to contact Dish customer services since the incident began 2 weeks ago. We've heard from others they have been affected by email or voice phishing attacks, and some said their Dish services were disconnected due to ongoing issues with the company, meaning they were unable to pay their bill. So I was like, are you able to,
I'd have to get on my other computer to test it. The last time I was on was probably 2 months ago. So yeah, I haven't. You rarely need to do that unless you have some kind of an issue.
Right. What? So you use your Dish Network though. It's not down because it's.
No, the TV works fine. It's probably just the website, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess if
try
you were
logging
trying to
in
pay
later.
your bill. Yeah. Wow. So yeah, they're being very tight-lipped about it. TechCrunch, haven't heard anything in 2 weeks. There's my mom's. I'll hit her up here in a second. That's gonna be a talking in it.
You could have answered now.
No, it's okay.
Bring your mom on the podcast.
Yeah, no.
I remember when I went to the hospital.
We need some.
Born.
Yes.
It was a cold Monday morning. Yeah.
At 3 a.m.
Thank God she doesn't watch.
You couldn't wait till dawn.
In 1952.
Oh, God. Don't laugh at that. That's not funny. I'm not that old. God damn. It's hurtful.
That's all right. I laugh, and Matt tried to pick a fuzzy out of my hair earlier, and it was a gray hair. It wasn't a fuzzy. So.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Walt says Dish is using AWS for replacement servers. So they weren't using AWS before. Now they are. So maybe their cloud instance has been completely pwned, and they decided to auto migrate to the cloud, which is ironic enough because
Internet records show that Dish hosted its own infrastructure until recently, before shifting Amazon's cloud service around February 23rd.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, considering, if everybody is saying is true that Dish is, DirecTV is, losing customers left and right, and Dish is probably not doing so well themselves. That's probably kind of rough. So, they didn't expect to have to pay that, but yeah, they said, what were they saying? That it was at the bottom here. They said, it's not known who is behind the ransomware attack. Bleeping Computer previously reported, citing sources Black Basta, which many believe to be a rebranding of Conti, may be responsible. Dish has yet to appear on Black Basta's leak site, suggesting that negotiations may still be ongoing. So, according to U.S. law, they're not allowed to, mention the ransomware or negotiate with ransomware artists. But we'll see what happens. But. Oh, there she is. Okay. Miss Berlin, you were like really, really like still. And I was like, oh no, did she lock up?
No. Oh, I hope not.
You're good. Yeah. I'm looking forward to getting rid of our DirecTV. We had it for Sunday Ticket, NFL Sunday Ticket, but now it's going to Google. So we have to figure out what we're going to do with all that. So nobody cares watching, if they're watching this stream, they don't care about NFL football. So. But yeah. We can talk about the Android stuff. I find it a little much ado about nothing. I mean, there's a legit threat. Just it's not a legit threat for me because It's not a threat for
I
me.
don't have any Android devices,
No,
or
I have a
Okay.
Pixel 6. I mean,
Oh,
I
okay.
am like
All right.
front line on this, and my daughter
All
has a
right.
7. So it's like, yes, I am very much, vulnerable to this, but
You can just turn off stuff.
you can just turn off stuff, but it's like you have to be targeted by somebody, and there has to be certain
Right.
things that happen. Like
But
you
that's
have
all
to
they
be
do,
on-
right? That's all the remote code does is they can turn off.
Well, it's remote code exec. So there's something in the parsing, kind of like back in the every once in a while you hear Wireshark has like a properly crafted packet
Sure.
that calls an
right.
RCE because it filters that out. I think it's very similar to that.
Okay.
That's what it read like to me. They said, where is it? There's 4 vulnerabilities. There was actually one for TPM 2.0 as well, which was patched in this month's Windows update. Where is it? They say you can turn off Wi-Fi calling and voice over LTE in the device settings. So there's some kind of service that uses the Wi-Fi calling and the voice over LTE. If you get a phone call, I'm assuming in some kind of specially crafted way, bad shit happens on your phone. But it's like, if that is a threat that you have a problem with, you're not going to be connecting your phone to Wi-Fi anyway. You're going to be using the cellular network.
Right.
If you really, really need to worry about that, yeah, turn off the Wi-Fi, turn off the voice over LTE, turn off the Wi-Fi calling. It sounds like you can still use the Wi-Fi calling or the Wi-Fi, but not Wi-Fi calling. But I'm not overly worried about that. It's your threat model. If your threat model is such that you're worried about people, owning your phone, then you're going to use only cellular and only when you have to, and you're going to turn off all your radios, not just your cellular and your Bluetooth and whatever. So, I do find it interesting that Project Zero, who's Google's internal red team. Oh, thank you, Bloodbound. I will, in fact, hydrate and stretch. Yeah, I don't know. Either of you have a Pixel 6 or a Pixel 7 or any of the affected systems?
Nope,
I
I'm
don't know.
all
I've got a Note, Samsung Note.
That goes down real smooth. Only the finest talent.
Don't die on your birthday.
I know, right? On my 85th birthday.
Well, don't die before you call your mom.
Right. I was going to say on your
God.
birthday before you call your mom.
Well, they'll watch this stream and go, "Oh, that's how he died." I'm just like,
it's just,
so,
how do we stop the stream?
I can't unturn it off. Yeah, it'll go for a few hours. My wife will find me on the floor. It's fine. Isn't voice over LTE the standard method used to make cellular calls? It might be.
I think so.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I remember having a 4G phone and turning on the voice over LTE. So, I mean, voice may still run over like a slower 3G spectrum or a 2G spectrum. I think if you send like normal text messages, not through WhatsApp and Telegram and all that shit, it goes over a different kind of data thing. So there may not be an option for the Pixel or for a 5G phone anymore. It may run over 4G. It may run over 4G instead of 3G. I know they turned off a lot of the 3G stuff, so we'll see.
So why can Signal not send over that network? What's going on there?
I did not. Maybe they can't leverage the. So wait, you mean like can't Signal messages can't be sent over the SMS network?
Not anymore.
I feel like there was a change a couple years ago or a year ago when they were having privacy issues. Maybe.
Didn't know that. Oh, is it because you needed a phone? Did they take away the phone number requirement?
I don't know.
I don't use them anymore either because I don't have anybody who uses Signal. So
I do.
Okay, so I've got one
I do
person.
too. But the thing I hated about Signal is when someone joined, everybody would get notified. Like,
Yeah.
hey, and that just like
I don't know that they do that anymore because I've not gotten one of those in a long time.
I yeah, I mean, I got one
No,
3 months
maybe it's
ago.
been, yeah, I was gonna say maybe it was like 6 months ago. I think I got one.
Yeah.
A single signal message 6 months ago.
No, no. Like the notification that someone new joined. Like someone new out of your contacts. It's like, hey, Michael Berlin has joined Signal. I'm like, all right.
Okay. Yeah. This will only affect Android users who set it up as their default SMS app. Oh, I remember that. Yeah, that was what convinced me to probably turn it off completely because I couldn't receive SMS messages, but I was already having issues with it, which is why I stopped using Signal anyway. I'd send somebody an SMS text and they wouldn't get it, or I'd get a phone call from mom and she's like, "I've been trying to reach you all day via text," and I was like, "Well, I haven't seen them," and that's because they didn't get delivered. Yeah.
I've had people have that problem. Yeah.
Interesting.
But so this doesn't affect just phones, obviously. It says any vehicles that also use a specific chipset. So I would hate to get RCE on your car or the car's infotainment system if that is something that you're worried about as well. So if your car, if you're smart enough to know what chipset your car's infotainment system uses, you probably want to turn on. And that might actually be more difficult, turning off Wi-Fi or, if LTE is an option on those cars. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, look at that. Hour and a half. Managed to use an hour and a half of time. So, awesome. Yeah. So we had a good discussion. We got some stuff. Check out our show notes for access to all of the news links that I put up here. We actually got a few other things in the additional information. If you want to go and buy some Biscoff cookies, do that. Yeah, anything else we want to talk about? Anything else? Anything's been grinding your gears recently?
What's the hexagon, Amanda, in your background?
Oh, they're like sound dampening squares.
Gotcha.
I have a whole bunch of them over here.
Oh, dang.
Okay.
With like my patches. Yeah, like my patches and pins I just shove in there.
Okay.
That's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you driving back from a conference or something?
Oh, no, picking up my kid.
Okay. How's everyone? Oh, I'm going to bed now, Love you. Love you too, Mama.
We better kill this so you can just.
No, it's okay.
That's a hint.
She's got to go to work.
That's a hint.
She's got to go to work early. I'll give her a call this week. So.
Hey,
I don't want her
to talk to her, and if she falls asleep, just hang up.
She won't fall asleep. She will not fall asleep, and she can sleep anywhere. So if she's talking to me, she won't fall asleep. I'll give her a call tomorrow. So
I can fall asleep at a red light.
That's not good, bro.
Oh, I haven't, but I could.
My mama used to have narcolepsy. I don't know what happened, but she has told me that she has driven to work, and at the time it was like 45 miles to work. There were parts of the road that she didn't remember to drive in. She was just days out, and then it was like she became aware, and she was parked in the parking lot of places.
Everybody doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why we need self-driving cars, or at least we've noticed you've fallen asleep. We will take over now. So, yeah.
You gotta have that heart rate monitor as you drive.
Yeah. Well, they have systems. They have systems now that if your head starts bobbing, then it'll come on, or there's a camera that will tell you if you
buzz your seats.
Yeah, buzz the seats, or wake up.
Yeah.
Danger, Will Robinson, danger. But yeah, so I don't have anything else. I'm really happy about my work, which is really, really odd.
Same. Oh, we're hiring. If anyone knows of any senior devs that want to come work at a startup.
Devs?
Yeah, developers.
I was just wondering how much. What's your stack like? You using Angular and Node and all the Pythons?
A lot of Python. Um,
I
and other stuff I don't remember. How about
Okay.
that? Go. We have some stuff in Go.
thought.
I'm learning
Uh,
Go. I'm not
yeah.
not senior developer though, but I can copy paste.
Yeah. We have a lot of AWS things. I don't know. I don't work on that stuff, so I have no idea.
Okay.
But we are looking for senior dev.
Okay. Like 25
So
years of experience with Go or something
it
like
would
that.
be great. No, it would be great if they had a decent amount of experience and also other areas like DevOps or operations in general, cloud stuff. Like we need a senior person
Okay.
real bad. We're having a hard time finding good like resumes. Like we don't even have that many that have been turned in, to be honest. So
Is the job remote?
yeah, technically we're not supposed to say it's remote
Why is that?
because there's like some kind of like they're still doing the pay something act where you have to like release everybody's pay information and
Pay
we're not like
transparency?
ready to do pay transparency act, and I think because we're not set up to do that yet we can't say that we do remote,
Okay. Well,
but
yeah,
yeah,
because
they're remote.
I'm seeing some of that with my job and our return to office kind of policy that was put out. It's like if you move away from the Bay Area or Seattle and you move to North Podunk, upstate, whatever, you're getting paid, I don't know, much less than somebody who's doing the exact same job in the Bay Area. And
Why? It's the same quality of work.
oh, I don't make the
See,
rules.
me living in Ohio should just be I should just like enjoy my life less, right? So I should get more money.
Right. Right. They're controlling the cost of living in Ohio by paying you less instead of, raising the rates for everybody. And,
Lame.
yeah. I don't know why they're doing it, but when I moved from Seattle down to San Diego, I had to talk with my boss about one, doing the move, because I was like, it's not a, hey, can I move to San Diego? It's like, this is happening.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, you have two choices, nothing and like it. And that's what's going to happen. And he's like, oh, yeah, no problem. And I was like, really? And he's like, okay, cool. Then, so we were talking about the move, and he's like, well, oh, man, that may affect your pay. And I was like, I beg your pardon? And so come to find out, my wife looked it up. She said San Diego actually has a higher cost of living than Seattle does. It's like
No
30%
way.
higher than the national average. Yeah, Seattle is like
I
according to the
thought
national
Seattle would be
average.
higher.
No, Seattle's like 30% above the national average, and San Diego's 40% above the national average. So, yeah, really weird. But yeah, it's like if I move to South North up Underland, middle Podunk place, I'm making 50,000, whereas the same developer, my colleague doing the same job in the Bay Area, is probably making 75 to 80, or something like that. It's just really weird. I don't know why.
And they're both remote.
Now I'm looking
Well,
at like what the cost of living is here.
yeah. Um, I think you're still going to be able to do at least 2 days a week, but there was some question about relocation if you were offered relocation when you first started at the company, and obviously the pandemic being what it was, can you still take advantage of that? There was discussion about with your boss to relocate and justification of why you're needing to relocate. I don't think they're going to have any issues, but my skip, my boss's boss, my skip said we expect an influx of asking to work remote or exceptions for that, because it's like, who's gonna freaking sell their house and move to the freaking Bay Area? It's like, only people in the Bay Area like being in the Bay Area, because they're used to certain things. But it's like, I wouldn't live in the Bay Area. You couldn't pay me to live in the Bay Area. So is what it is.
Ours is so it says that like the national average is a 100. I don't know if that's 100K or if it's just 100 as a measurement.
I think it's a measurement. Like if
Measurement.
Yeah.
that's the baseline. So
Yeah.
national
so
measurement. Yeah.
We're at 81.6.
So you're here.
Hmm.
Yeah. I'm here, and San Diego is here. So, people think, oh, I can take the money that I'm making in the Bay Area and live in, the Midwest, assuming you like living in states where people are discriminated against. and make fat loot. And then it's like,
Right.
well, no, if your company's smart enough, they're going to adjust it based on, well, you know, if you're living in a flyover state, you can live pretty fat on $100,000 a year, versus, you know, the 100,000 in San Francisco is not going to be 100,000 in Missouri, for instance. So you're going to get 80,000 in Missouri, or you're going to get 70,000 in Missouri for a $100,000 job, and you're still expected to work 15 hours a day. So
Right.
yeah,
I have my
you'll
own
just be
thoughts.
that weird person that always works at home and doesn't go anywhere. So, but I like talking to y'all. I miss y'all.
Are you going anywhere other than San Diego anytime soon? I'll be at like 2 conferences at least.
Yeah, the 9th through the 15th, we're going to be in DC. We're doing a family holiday vacation thing, and then we're going up to New York. We're going to see all the sites and Statue of Liberty and what have you. Trying to relax after this last month and a half that we've been dealing with.
I have my Airbnb now. You know, if you ever want to come to Ohio.
In Ohio, I wouldn't hate on it. Yeah, come visit. You know, go to Cleveland or whatever.
Did you have your first renter yet?
Not until mid-April.
April. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Spring break in Ohio.
People are still fishing. Like our lake never really froze over.
Okay.
So Lake Erie will freeze over, and there's a lot of ice fishing up here.
Oh, really?
But it never froze over this year, and people are actually still. It's like 35 degrees out, and they're fishing.
I can't do that. I'm tired. I want spring to be here. I don't
Yeah.
want 30-degree weather and stuff. That's why I'm moving to San Diego. There are a number of conferences in that area, though. Besides San Diego is coming up in May, I think. They're doing like a one-day
I think
event.
it's this right before RSA. So I'm going for RSA again this year.
RSA.
And then I think it's like right before RSA, or maybe after.
There's a couple conferences up in LA that I didn't know about that were like technical security stuff. I forget what the names are, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in the city of San Diego just for like their OWASP has like 160 people in it. Their monthly OWASP has 160 people.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on in that area. There's DC 858-619 is fairly active. So looking forward to coming and meeting in. I've already started networking with some of those folks as well. Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. Okay, well, I think we're done. So Miss Berlin, you know, I know the show points of contact are at the bottom of our screen here. You can probably see them if you want to check those out. So,
and then Hackers Health should be at B-Sides Charm, Hack SpaceCon, B-Sides Nashville, and maybe 2 others that I've not yet confirmed.
Okay.
Maybe 3 others.
Very cool. Yeah. I actually
looking for volunteers.
Oh, well, there you go. Nice volunteer opportunity, folks. Yeah, I actually thought about going to Hacker Summer Camp this year because I will be 45 minutes away on a plane, Southwest flight to Vegas, or a 5-hour drive. So I was like, maybe I don't have a reason not to go. So yeah, I thought about showing up for DEF CON at least. I know my company will probably pay for those. So, but yeah, seriously thinking about it this year. I mean, by that time we'll already be settled into our new house, so I can probably take a couple days. So we'll see what happens. But, okay. Well, I'm going to go. Miss Berlin, Mr. Boettcher, it's always a pleasure. Glad y'all could come and hang out, and I hope we can do this more often. I didn't know if the availability has changed for either one of you, but you know, if we can make this every other week, that would be great. Yeah.
Sounds great.
Awesome. Mr. Boettcher, have a good day, sir. Have a good night. All right. Well, that was it for Breaking Down Security. Hope you have a great week. Be kind. Take care of yourselves. And as we're fond of saying here, you know, take care of yourself because you're only you have. So take care and have a great week. Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.